This is Shannon, and and I'm doing this for my final project. One of the things that I learned during the individualization class was, um, as I'm building my courses for my Wake County Public Schools Canvas courses, which are all online. I teach in a virtual program for long-term suspended students, and so we have 90-minute blocks that follow the exact same schedule as the regular Wake County Public School system. So kids have 4 block classes with a lunch, and we teach them live in a synchronous conference setting daily for 90 minutes. And so one of the things I realized as I was taking the individualization course was that my Canvas courses, I needed to work on them and improve them. So one of the things I started out by doing was I was on my home page. I tried to make it a little bit more personal. And so I actually put my daily expectations here and like come to conferences and click join, and I post the daily agenda on the classroom. Announcements, they're supposed to read the announcements, check their feedback, check for inboxes, and then their coursework will be done. But I also added a picture of myself, my contact information, and then my a little cartoon for daily tasks for the visual learners. So I tried to make it very user-friendly right from the first page. I also went in and reworked my syllabus into a visual syllabus, which is something I've never done before, for the visual learners. And so I have, again, my picture, my name, my contact information, the course overview, and then I have the course units. Units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did a couple of pie charts for the grading breakdown and the semester grading categories. And then I also listed my course expectations. One of the things that I want to add to this is I feel like if I added like made Unit 1 a link to the module, that might be helpful as well. And then at the bottom here, it's got assignment summary of things that I have in the course. I really need to figure out a way to hide those. So I'm still, actually students won't see those, only I see those, so that's good. But anyway, I've never done a visual syllabus. I've always just had your typical textual syllabus, so I tried to make it more user-friendly to my visual learners as well as my learners who learn just by reading. And so I'd like to eventually work up to creating a video syllabus, much like Dr. Linton does, but I haven't quite got there yet. On this conferences page, I just added a join button here, so students will come into the English 4 classroom every day. I have English 4 first period from 8:30 to 10. On the announcements page, I'm going to show you a sample of how I have done the announcements. So like today's Wednesday, so they would click on this announcement, and it has the agenda from what's also in the Canvas classroom in case they miss for the day. I have a lot of students who work or have court appointments or things like that. So if they miss, they can always come here, and everything's linked out. So it'll link them to Grad Point here. They do a lesson in Grad Point in Wake County to supplement our lessons. They also do, they're working on 1984, the novel, and so the text is linked out here, and then their response and analysis questions for Chapter 6 are linked here. So that kind of gives them a breakdown of the actual assignment in case they're absent. So I try to individualize because my students have a whole lot of extra things going on with being long-term suspended and stuff. I'll also do like college fair, PSAT, juniors and senior information in here for students to try to make it a one-stop shop for their information. Now, one of the things that I really worked hard on to improve is my modules. So I actually created a getting started module for students who come into the class late. I get students all throughout the semester, but our program is kind of unique for at-risk students, and so students will actually come in throughout the semester. So they might come in, they might not get long-term suspended until end of October, and then it takes a week or two to go through their hearing process, and then they end up being enrolled in my class mid-October. And so this is a place where they'll start. So I tried to make this a kind of an introductory area. I made a video here so that they can learn more about me. I try to make myself seem more real. I thought this would be a really good way to do it. So it kind of goes through. It's loading now, but it kind of goes through some of the things we'll do in English class, like some of the things we'll cover to try to get them excited about it. And I'll try to fast forward. I'll try to skip through so you can see where I have my my family pictures to try to make me seem more human, more real. Let's see if I can get it all the way this far so you can see pictures of my family. So there we go. I'll be quiet for just a second while it plays. So I let them know where I went to school. They laugh at that, the hair. Okay, so it just goes through a bunch of, my likes and dislikes, and it kind of helps me connect. In this class especially, I have all males so far. I have 6 males in this class, and we really connected about football. So they saw in the football section of this video that I like the Redskins, and I have 2 Redskins fans, and then I have a couple of Dallas fans, so that's been kind of fun. So it's just a way for me to kind of connect. And so in the module for the getting started, they'll go on to the next page, and I have them, like, there's a little video on how Canvas works, and I have them take a Canvas survey to make it more interactive, to make sure that they're comfortable with Canvas. I do a getting to know you poster to get to know them better. And they submit that, and then they have to send me a message telling me 3 things about them. They have to create a Blogger account. So we use Blogger to write some literature connections and whatnot. And then they go on to the Module 1 pretest. So that's the end of Module, the Getting Started unit. And Module, let me go back out here. So I'm going to go back to Module 4, which I'm currently working on. My YouTube video didn't load on that. I need to go back and check that later, but let me go into my Unit 4. Okay, so here's my Unit 4. So this is an example of the modules that I've really started working on this more heavily since I'm working on this final project here. So I wanted to really have a same welcome page in each unit, and so I started by listing the essential questions. Why should we care about tone and diction when we read literature? I have a video, and then I have about tone and diction in literature, and then I also embedded a video here for a visual effect on tone. And so as we start with our introduction to 1984 and George Orwell and satire, we're looking at how important tone is in conveying our mood. So on the next page, I wanted to do a quick review with what is satire. So I have like a little, tried to include some visual pictures with definitions as well as a video for my audio and visual learners. Again, I reviewed satire there and gave a couple of examples, and then a tune example of exaggeration. So I'm trying to really, make this user-friendly. If students miss my lecture in the live conference and they have to go back and look at this will serve as, a real fill-in-the-blanks kind of a work-through module instead of just a lot of information or assignments. I also included this, what was really funny to me, satire in real life. So I'm trying to make that connection with students, that real life connection. And with politics going on, this just seemed like a really great. Saturday Night Live is a great thing to use for parody. So we look at how satire and parody are different, and then we look at this hashtag where Justin Timberlake and Jimmy Fallon talking nothing but hashtags, and we try to come up with, what's the lesson behind that? What's the meaning behind that? And again, I have the visual definition of satire versus parody. And then I have a slide share here of The Princess Bride and how it uses parody and satire. So as I keep working through the module, I'm trying to really hit home about satire. So we're looking at satire and the importance of being earnest. So we watch a little schmoop video, and then there's supposed to be a Prezi here. Let me unlock it. Sorry. I think my, yeah. Let me disable the protection on this page so that you can see the Prezi. Wake County's pretty strict on their on their security, which is a good thing, I guess, for teenagers. Okay, so there's a Prezi here anyway. It's loading now, in which it talks about how satire is used in different stories. And so we would go through that together. I would share my screen. We'd go through that together. And if they missed, they could come back and look through this and give them guiding questions throughout. I took a page out of Dr. Linton's toolbox, and instead of just having a link for a Padlet, I tried to embed Padlets. And so I have students to, again, try to get on that real world connection and make it relevant to them, individualized to them, they're thinking about what is their worst nightmare, what's the worst world you can imagine and why, and we still haven't even gotten to 1984 yet, so I wanted them to think about what would they imagine as their worst world, and so my students posted on here what their thoughts were, and then I tried to comment on each one to make sure I have that teacher presence. So they like having this embedded in the class. It's visual, it's more interactive than just a link. Okay, so this is a great thing I found here with how for George Orwell this was his nightmare, and if you look at this, I'm going to be quiet so you can hear it. So basically, it's a clip about this guy ordering pizza, and the woman knows where he lives, where his home address is, what his work address is. She knows that his pant size, so because of his health insurance, because he's overweight, he has to order the Sprout pizza or pay like a $50 fine for ordering something off of his nutritional plan. She knows that he's bought plane tickets. It's George Orwell's, Big Brother watching every move. So that helped spur a conversation, and I couldn't get that to embed. So and then we start looking at who George Orwell is exactly, and so we go through a lot of information about how his life story and how active he was in speaking out against World War II and Stalin and Hitler, and he was a democratic socialist, and we talk about what socialism is and totalitarianism, and how his world was how 1984 was his idea of what was a nightmare. And then I go ahead and I actually didn't used to do this, but I'm trying to individualize and make it really accessible to students. So I went ahead and added my background PowerPoint that I actually will use to present in our conference live, and I put it in here, and that's helped students who miss for whatever reason go through these. It's there for their review, and if they miss anything. And it's also helped, a lot of my students, they get to listen when I'm talking and know that this is here, and so they're much more engaged in the discussion as opposed to trying to write everything down. So and I tried to add in this slide here, like, why does this novel still matter? Why is it important? It's again, and to connect with students and make it relevant to them. I feel like if students can connect and get an interest in the book, then they're really more likely to engage with it and actually read it and enjoy it, right, and connect it to their own life. And so the whole Big Brother, we talked about the show Big Brother, and We talked about the idea of doublethink and the story overview. And then students watched a couple of videos to try to get them connected, like the context of it. And then I